What's up everyone? We've got a lot to discuss about in this video, so I want to keep the intro short. We're on the road to 100 subscribers, so if you enjoy the video, hitting the like button would do a lot for my small channel, and subscribe if you enjoy the NBA, because that's all I post here. Timestamps will be in the description if you want to see your favorite teams trade, but I do recommend watching the whole video because there are a lot of surprising trades I guarantee you did not know about. Now let's not waste any more time and get on with the first team. One of the most recent trades that'll be featured in this video. Before the coming of KD and Kyrie, the Brooklyn Nets were viewed as one of the worst franchises in NBA history, but all of that changed in the summer of 2019. The Nets had two max contracts to give out and decided to give one of those contracts to Kevin Durant. His former team, the Golden State Warriors, wanted something back in return, so the Nets gave up all-star guard D'Angelo Russell to get the Slim Reaper. After recovering from a torn Achilles injury, Kevin was ready to play and prove that he was worth the max contract. Kevin Durant was an all-star captain and a starter, averaging 28.2 points per game. While on the Warriors side of the trade, Graham and Napier didn't play for the Warriors, and Russell only played 33 games for them before getting shipped off to Minnesota. The Denver Nuggets did a robbery to the Indiana Pacers. Not only did Alex English become a superstar, but they also got a first-round pick out of it too. Before coming to Denver, Alex English was known as a role player that was ready to blossom. At the age of 26, English was already in his prime for the Nuggets. He spent 11 seasons with them, averaging 25 points per game. He accomplished 8 All-Star appearances, 3 All-NBA appearances, and was a scoring champion in 1983. For George McGinnis, he regressed and only spent time in Indiana for 3 seasons until being waived and never getting picked up again. The Miami Heat got themselves quite a player in their trade. The player I'm talking about is Superman. After getting defeated by the Detroit Pistons in the playoffs, Shaq heard comments about Lakers general manager Mitch Kupchak regarding O'Neal's future, which made Shaq furious. Along with that, Shaq wanted a contract extension, but the Lakers wouldn't do it. So on July 14, 2004, O'Neal was traded to the Miami Heat. The dynamic duo of Dwayne Wade and Shaquille O'Neal led the Heat to 3 straight playoffs, and in 2006, the Heat won their first NBA championship in franchise history. Shaquille O'Neal also went to 3 straight All-Star appearances and 2 All-NBA first teams. The Lakers got 2 rental players back just to play 1 season with them, and they also got Lamar Odom, who was valuable for the Lakers' 2 rings. Lamar Odom was also awarded the 6th Man of the Year in the 2011 season. While it may look like the Heat won the trade, it was a win-win situation due to both teams winning NBA championships. For the Houston Rockets, they found their superstar guard in this trade. The Thunder and James Harden failed to agree on a contract extension, and the Thunder decided to move Harden and traded him to Houston. Despite starting only 7 games for the Thunder, Rockets general manager Daryl Morey had confidence in Harden, and Harden did not disappoint. He won the MVP award in 2018, was an 8-time All-Star with the team, a 3-time scoring champ, an assist leader in 2017, and a 6-time All-NBA member. There were 3 seasons where Harden ended up averaging 30 points per game or more, making him one of the best scorers in NBA history. And for the 3 players that were traded for Harden, 2 of them played in Houston for 1 season, and Hayward, the odd one out, didn't even play in Houston because he was waived. On the Thunder side, Lamb was a bench player who averaged 7 points per game, and Kevin Martin was decent, averaging 14 points per game, but later was traded to Minnesota. If only the Thunder knew that they were giving up a future MVP, this trade would have been declined immediately. After a disappointing 1991-1992 season with the Philadelphia 76ers, Charles Barkley decided it was time to request a trade out of Philadelphia. Originally, he was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, but the 76ers decided to retract the deal within a few hours. Eventually, he found himself going to the Phoenix Suns on July 17, 1922, due to a trade agreement. With his first season with the Suns, Charles Barkley was selected to be an All-Star and was an All-NBA first-team member. He also won the regular season MVP and led the Suns to the NBA Finals. Unfortunately, they had to meet up with Michael Jordan and obviously lost. After his first season with the Suns, he spent 3 more seasons with them, having 3 straight All-Star appearances and 3 All-NBA team members. What Philadelphia got back in return was decent, but they were also rental players. Andrew Lang was there for 1 season, and Jeff was there for 2 seasons before getting traded to the Utah Jazz, and Tim Perry lasted 4 seasons averaging 7.3 points per game. The 76ers definitely got the worst end of the stick, trading a future MVP for pretty much nothing. You're hearing this right, Damian Lillard could have been in a Nets jersey, but they decided to throw him away as a first round pick for Gerald Wallace. Gerald Wallace was known as a scorer with the Portland Trailblazers because Brandon Roy was injured and they needed somebody else who could score. And the Nets needed help for when the playoffs came. Well, not exactly. Gerald Wallace ended up getting traded to New Jersey, but by the time he got there, injuries started to pile up. He injured his left leg, left ankle, and ribs while playing with the Nets. Damian Lillard became a lethal shooter for the Portland Trailblazers. He was selected with the 6th overall pick and won Rookie of the Year. He's also a 6-time All-Star and a 5-time All-NBA team member. Okur and Williams didn't play for the Portland Trailblazers and they were both waived. While Gerald Wallace was towards the end of his career due to injuries, Lillard is still with the Portland Trailblazers, leading them to the playoffs every year. Oscar Robertson was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks and basketball fans were shocked. There was no reason why Robertson should have gotten traded, but he did, and the Milwaukee Bucks got a steal. The Bucks had already had a generational talent in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, while also having other great players like Bob Dandridge and John McLaughlin. Adding Mr. Triple-Double instantly made them a championship contender. In Oscar's first season with the Bucks, he was an all-star and led the Bucks to a 66-16 record. In the playoffs, they were 12-2 and were able to win their first NBA championship. After that season, Oscar played 3 more seasons before retiring, earning another All-Star appearance and an All-NBA second team member. Charlie and Flynn, who were traded for Robertson, only played in Cincinnati for 1 season before they both got traded. For another super recent trade in the video, we have the New Orleans Pelicans trading away Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis was a superstar playing for a mediocre team. He was frustrated with the Pelicans organization that they didn't help him find another superstar, and on January 28th, he decided to not sign a contract extension and requested a trade. After 6 months of requesting a trade, he finally got traded, landing in Los Angeles. What they got back in return was perfect for them. They got 3 young potential players in return. The 4th overall pick was traded to the Hawks on draft night, and they decided to select DeAndre Hunter, who was good for them and is averaging 16 points per game. Josh Hart is a great bench player, averaging 9.2 points per game, and Lonzo Ball is having the best season of his career, averaging 14 points per game. Lastly, Brandon Ingram became an all-star in his first seasons in a Pelicans jersey. The Lakers got Anthony Davis, and when duoed with LeBron James, the Lakers got a championship. It's a win-win situation for both teams. Many NBA fans know the backstory on why Kobe was traded to the Lakers, but if you don't know, I'll tell you the amazing and crazy story. Kobe was working out with the Lakers before the 1996 NBA draft, and at the time, Jerry West decided to scrimmage Kobe Bryant versus former NBA players Larry Drew and Michael Cooper. In Jerry West's words, he said Kobe marched over those people. A high schooler just beat not one former NBA player, but 2 former NBA players. So the Lakers were very interested in Kobe Bryant. The 1996 NBA draft came along, and with the 13th overall pick, the Charlotte Hornets drafted Kobe Bryant. When Charlotte drafted Kobe, they immediately told him that there was no use for him and that he was going to be traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for Vlade Divac. The Lakers particularly traded Vlade to free up salary cap to get a superstar dominant center Shaquille O'Neal in free agency, which was a success. The Charlotte Hornets got their own words eaten up by Kobe's accolades and being deemed one of the worst franchise trades in NBA history. Kobe spent his entire career with the Lakers and his accolades are too long. It would probably take me hours to talk about all of Kobe's accolades, so I will mention the important ones. He is a soon-to-be Hall of Famer, an 18-time All-Star, 12-time All-Defensive Team member, 5-time NBA champion, 2-time Finals MVP, the regular season MVP in 2007. While yes, Vlade was a Hall of Famer, he only lasted 2 seasons in Charlotte before signing with the Sacramento Kings. Just by looking back at this trade alone, we all know who won this trade. RIP Kobe. The grit and grind Memphis Grizzlies would have been nothing without their leader Zach Randolph. Zach was getting passed on from team to team until he landed in Memphis. Randolph provided hard defense and was mainly the reason why Memphis was a top 5 in points allowed in 2011 to 2015. He became an all-star in his first season with the Grizzlies, and the next next season after, he was an All-NBA player and earned himself another All-Star selection 2 years later. Even when he started to get older, he was still averaging 15 points per game. Eventually, after Randolph left Memphis, he was always remembered as arguably the best player to wear a Memphis Grizzlies jerseys for his hard work on the defensive end. On the other end, Quinton was getting passed around from team to team like Zach Randolph was before. He never ended up playing a single minute for the Clippers and proceeded to get traded to Minnesota and was again traded to the Miami Heat, where he only played one season, averaging 8.9 points per game. Gary Payton was not only traded once before getting drafted, but he was traded twice. At first, this pick was traded for a future Warriors first round pick, which was used to select Dana Barros. After that, the Warriors decided to trade back Seattle's original pick for Alton Lister. It was a bad choice for the Warriors to trade back. That first round pick ended up turning into the second overall pick, and the Seattle Supersonics drafted themselves a defensive guard in Gary Payton. Gary Payton went on to spend 13 seasons in Seattle. He led the Supersonics to their first finals appearance, made 9 All-Star appearances, was a 9-time All-NBA team member, and a 9-time All-NBA defensive first team. He was also the defensive player of the year. Alton surprisingly lasted 4 seasons with the Warriors and mostly came off the bench, only averaging 5.2 points per game. The New York Knicks were interested in the defensive rebounding big man Dave DeBusschere and traded Hall of Famer Walt Bellamy and Howard Comivs, a decent role player. Dave made an instant impact on the Knicks. He made 5 straight All-Star appearances, 6 All-NBA defensive first team members, All-NBA second team in 1969, and most importantly, he won 2 championships while with the Knicks. Walt lasted 2 seasons for the Pistons before getting traded to Atlanta, and Howard lasted 3 seasons. He was an ordinary player averaging 10 points per game. The Lakers had 2 potential young small forwards in Adrian Dantley and Jamal Wilkes. Both were tremendously good for the Lakers, but one of them was eventually gonna get traded. Eventually, Adrian Dantley would be the odd one out, and he was traded to the New Orleans Jazz. In return, they got a 24 point per game power forward, Spencer Haywood. Adrian is not known all around the NBA community, but he's one of the best scorers in NBA history. He had multiple seasons where he averaged about 30 points per game. He played with the Utah Jazz for 7 seasons, having 6 All-Star appearances, 2 scoring champions, and a 2-time All-NBA team member. The Lakers never got the Spencer Haywood that used to play for the Jazz, and he regressed badly, from scoring 24 points per game to now just 9 points per game. The regression led to Haywood being released from the Lakers. The Hornets haven't made a ton of trades, but this trade was good for both teams. Even though Alonzo Mourning was one of the best Hornets players in franchise history, Mourning had some problems with his teammate Larry Johnson, so they decided to trade him and got a valuable player back. The biggest acquisition in the trade was Glenn Rice, a 28-year-old forward who was ready to enter his prime and showed off night in and night out. During his 3 seasons with the Hornets, he was a 3-time All-Star and won the All-Star Game MVP. The other 2 players that were traded with Glenn Rice had solid stats. Matt Giager was there for 3 seasons and averaged 10.7 points, while Khalid Reeves was only there for 1 season, averaging 8.1 points per game. While for Alonzo, he was a 4-time All-Star and earned himself a ring in 2006 while with the Heat. Safe to say that this trade was a win-win situation for both teams. The Trailblazers organization thought it would be a good idea to trade young, high-potential Jermaine O'Neal to Indiana for an aging Dale Davis. Before Davis was traded to Portland, the last season he had with the Pacers, he was an All-Star, which made Portland interested in him and they decided to go for him. Instead, Dale Davis wasn't the same as before, and Jermaine O'Neal ended up becoming phenomenal for the Pacers. Jermaine is a part of the reason for the Pacers' success in the playoffs, making 6 straight playoff appearances. He also accomplished 6 straight All-Star appearances. He was also a 3-time All-NBA team member and is the most improved player in 2002. Joe Klein, the 38-year-old player that was also traded with Jermaine, got waived and didn't play any minutes for the Pacers. Dale Davis, the former All-Star, was not the same, averaging only 7.1 points per game and only lasted 4 seasons before getting traded again. Well, that just about does it for part 1. If you enjoyed the video and want to see me make a part 2, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. It took me a long time to make this video, so all your support means the world to me. But until next time, cheers.